Dear student, welcome again to the part 12, that is strategic approaches to the management, and in this particular module, that is module 57, we will be discussing about the growth strategies, and we will be highlighting our session towards the external growth strategies, that is the joint venture, merger and the integration, along with the advantages and disadvantages of each of the growth strategies. Before that, let me guide you about the module 56 and what we have understood in the the very first module of the part 12. Part 12, we are starting about how the management or the company should plan for the strategic growth of the company. Okay. We have discussed that growth is something which cannot be divided from the organization. If the company is not looking for the continuous growth opportunity, ultimately it will be leading towards the stagnant, or the company will be very much rigid towards their policy. What will happen? The competitors will be overtaking your organization, and you will be a history organization, and everyone will be remembering your name only. We have taken some examples of Nokia, we have taken the example of the Reliance. Okay. The two companies are the giant companies operating in India. One company was a giant company that dominating the world market, the Nokia, but because of not exploiting the market opportunities, they were not devising the growth strategies. And another company you have seen that was started with a singular product line, that is the textile industry. We are talking about the Reliance Industries. As of now, the company is like the leading company in India and Asia as well. Okay. So, it is very important as a manager to understand what are the factors, how the growth strategies can be achieved through different practices. So, we are discussing two different growth strategies. One is the internal as well as the external. In the last session, we have discussed about the internal growth strategy, and we discussed three major growth strategies. One is the intensive, that is the internal growth strategy, diversification and your modernization. Internal growth strategy emphasizes towards using of existing raw material or existing resources. Okay. And the strategies was the product penetration, market development, product development and modification of the product. Second was diversification of the product line. It means you are enlarging your business operation and your focus is towards coming up with totally new product or developing a new product. This will be a very require huge amount of capital. It has some kind of limitation as well. Second is the diversification. In the diversification, we have seen that how the company is extending the product line. We have taken two examples. One example is of the Reliance Industries and one example is of the Nokia. Okay. So, diversification means you are coming up with a new product, you are developing the market for the new product, like the Reliance Industries started with the textile company, and as of now they are into the different sectors. Third strategy is with respect to the modernization. Modernization strategies talks about how effectively you are upgrading towards the new technology. Okay. We can take the example like the various e-shoppers, okay, or the online businesses. If in the future they will be using the different drone as a delivery medium. Okay, so what will happen ultimately? Their overall cost of the operation will be lower. They will be more efficiently managing the businesses. Okay, the performance or the quality will be increased. Okay, so these are some of the internal things that we have discussed. The part B, that is the external, is the motto of this particular module. We'll be discussing the very first part, that is the joint venture, merger and the integration. So let us start with the very first one of the external growth strategy is the joint venture. Joint venture, joint means like two things are combined. Venture is a capital, or it is better to say that it is a risky businesses. All right. So joint venture, when two or more organizations establish a new enterprise together by sharing their resources and participating in business operation, it is termed as joint venture. Okay. So these two companies are coming together for the purpose, or they have some kind of motto. Okay. They share their resources together and they participate in the business operation. Let us try to understand with an example. Tata Group have a joint venture with Starbucks. Okay. Starbucks coffee. So in India, the Starbucks coffee is like distributed, or it is had some store with the joint venture of Tata Group. All right. So when you establish a new business in any country or any region, okay, two or more companies come together and they share the resources. Another example we can take of the Tata itself, Tata with Sia Airline. Okay. So they have a joint venture in the airline industry, which is termed as the Vistara Airlines. So the new company is formed, which is Vistara, by the joint venture of Tata and the Singapore Airlines. Okay. So it is termed as the joint venture. Now what are the advantages and disadvantages of the joint venture? Let us try to understand. It helps to reduce the competition among themselves. If the two companies, okay, they are into the same industry and they are fighting for the survival, then it is better that you neutralizes the competition and form a joint venture. Okay. Another example in the telecom sector we can take is your Vodafone and Idea, that is VI. So what happened actually in the telecom sector in India, the initiation or the dominance of the Jio and Airtel, since Jio was providing the free data and the customer base was so big that some companies like the Airtel somehow able to survive, but the smaller companies like the Vodafone or the Idea, they were like becoming out of the market. So what they did, they form a joint venture, they came together and started a new company which is VI. All right. So in this way the competition among themselves, they neutralizes their own competition and they trying to give further competition to the like Airtel as the Jio as well. Risk can be mitigated through the joint venture. So if the two companies are performing the businesses, ultimately they have some kind of advantages with respect to like lowering the risk, lowering the uncertainty, because both the company will be bringing out some kind of resources, some kind of expertise. So, in this way you will see the integration of the resources will be there, and ultimately the chances of any kind of risk will be lower. So, joint venture also helps in mitigating the risk of the organization. Third one is favorable for small firm to work with the large firm. In some of the joint venture, it may be that you will see that some small companies, okay, which are the emerging companies, we can call it, they have done very good in the shorter period of time, but ultimately they are facing huge competition because of high cost from the big players. Big players are enjoying the economies of scale as a factor to reduce the overall cost of the product, which is not available with the smaller company. So, one better way is to like form a joint venture with the existing player or the bigger player in the market, so that you can neutralize the many things in terms of risk from the big player, in terms of managing the cost. All right. So, it is more favorable for the smaller firms. Foreign players or the foreign partner in joint venture provide advanced technology. So, the example that we have taken, the Vistara and Vistara Airlines of the Tata and Singapore Airlines, you will see that the travel, if you ever have traveled through the Vistara, the comfort of the Vistara as compared to the any other airline in the economic class is better. Initially, they were providing also the food services to all their customers. So, the point is, when you form, suppose you are a developing countries, okay, one of the firm in a developing countries, but your product idea is very good. So, ultimately you can form a joint venture with a big player of a developed nation. What will be the advantages? Advantages will be that they will be using some advanced technology to your business idea, and that will be helpful in development of some big product. Okay. So, along with the technology, your goodwill, your firm's operation will also increases. MNC can enter easily through the joint venture. Big companies or some foreign companies can form a joint venture as a tool for strategic alliance to enter the new market. Okay. The government has some kind of restriction for the joint venture as well, but at the same time, if the law permits, it is very good option to enter a new market. So, those company who has exploited their domestic market and they want to like enter the newer market, joint venture can be very beneficial. Next is the limitation part. Problem of equity participation, as both firms want major stake. Okay. So, joint venture, the biggest problem is with respect to the conflict of like having the majority of the participation. Who will be actually having the majority in terms of taking the key decisions in the management, in terms of having the autonomy in the overall joint ventures. So, sometimes it acts as like it may be very difficult to quantify that who will be given more majority of the shares, so that they can be the acting leaders or the decision makers in the joint ventures. Second is differences in culture can create conflict. In the joint venture we have seen like the two joint ventures between the Maruti Udyog and Suzuki of the Japan. So, the Japanese are very good at like sharing the culture with the other nation. Okay, we have discussed about the American management practices as well as the Japanese management practices, and what we have seen, the Japanese are more towards like respecting the integrity of the employees. So, in this way it may be like if the things are very much favorable, it will not create the conflict, but if there will be like the culture are totally different, compare it with the American culture of the management, where the things are very much materialized, they are more towards the performance rather than the respect of their employees. So, there will be clash in the culture and it will lead towards the conflict. Alright. So, joint venture, it is very important that the conflict should be managed. Legal restriction of the foreign investment, it means sometimes the local government or the central government may not be allowing the joint ventures. Okay. Like we can take the example of the Walmart. It is not a joint venture, but we can take the reference in terms of the political environment. When the Walmart wanted to enter in the Indian territory, okay, the government did not allow the Walmart because of some kind of barriers. Okay, it could totally neutralize the or overtake the retail sector, and the smaller retail will be totally, they will be lost. So, in this way the legal aspect, the political aspect also play a very crucial role in the joint venture. Joint venture between unequal firm lead to merger, and this may create the monopoly. Okay. Like the smaller firm, in the anticipation for the future growth, they can form a joint venture. But ultimately what happened? Over a period of time, you will see that the joint venture is, the bigger company is like overtaking the smaller company. Now, they are no longer two different companies, they become a single company because they have, the bigger company has overtaken the share of the existing company or the smaller company. So, what will happen? They will be like leading the market, and they will be a situation of the monopoly. Lack of coordination may hamper the operation. The joint venture is the management of the two different companies. Any kind of decisions which is being taken in the under the joint venture, one thing that should be considered is the like discretion of all the employees of the two different companies. But ultimately what happened? There could be a conflict, and it could lead towards the operational disturbances. So, we have talked about the very first method of the external growth strategy, that is the joint venture. Moving beyond, the next one is the merger. Merger and joint venture are two different methods. Under the merger, the firm combine their businesses and become one company. Alright. It is termed as merger. When two or more firm combine their businesses into one, it is termed as merger. Merger can be of four types. Before that, let us try to understand the differences between the merger and takeover, merger and amalgamation. Okay. Merger could be like you are purchasing or taking the shares of the other companies in the open market. Okay. So, merger is a voluntarily part where two companies decide to become one. Okay. Based on the valuation of the existing company, it will be sold to the bigger company, and the bigger company will be taking off the different thing. Okay. Like we can take the example of WhatsApp. Everyone is using the WhatsApp app. Okay. Facebook, or we can call it as a Meta as well now. The Meta is now, it has renamed as Meta. Facebook, Instagram. All right. Now the Facebook is a totally different social media platform. Earlier WhatsApp, Instagram was used to be, the owner were totally different. Now Facebook purchased the shares, or they have overtaken the companies through their owners, and they have paid some kind of huge money to them. Okay, that is based on the valuation of the company. Now this process is known as merger. These companies, WhatsApp and Instagram, they merged as a single business, that is the ownership is transferred towards the Facebook or the Meta. Okay. Now merger is something which is voluntarily. Okay. It means based on the agreement of these two parties it was done. Takeover, when the shares of the smaller company are purchased in the open market by the existing company or the bigger company. Okay, it is more of like dominating, okay, the takeover. Amalgamation is somehow you are like selling the total asset of the company to a bigger company, that is termed as the amalgamation. Okay, so all these are a single form where the two or more companies are liquidated or they merge with the existing company. Now they do not have their own like identity. All right. Based on that, we have four types of the merger. One is the horizontal merger. Second is your vertical merger. C is your concentric merger, and D is your conglomerate merger. Now let us try to understand each one. Very first one is the horizontal merger. It means within the same industry, okay, when the two companies are merged together. Okay, like we can take the example of one product, FMCG. Company A and company B both were selling, suppose oil. Okay, pen is not working. So let us take the example of oil. Now both the company were facing competition with each other, but company A was a smaller company or a new company, and it is an existing company. Now the company A was facing big competition with company B. Now they want to sell off their businesses and they want to merge with the company B. Okay, so this process will be termed as a horizontal merger. All right, it means within the same product category, within the same industry, when the merger are done, it is termed as the horizontal merger. Vertical merger, it could be like it could be upward and it could be downward as well. When you are a company, all right, and you are purchasing or you are merging with the different supply chain elements. Okay, suppose company A is there and company B is there. All right. Now company A is manufacturing bicycle and company B is manufacturing like some spoke or tires. All right. Now when company A will be merging or company B will be merging with company A, okay, it is termed as vertical merger. Okay. Now the different supplier will be a singular company of company A. That is termed as a vertical merger. Concentric merger, when the marketing strategy, the technology which is being shared by two different company, it is the same, then it will be termed as your concentric merger. Whereas the last one is the conglomerate, when there is no like similarity in terms of the product, in terms of the market specification, in terms of the technology, and both the companies are selling two different types of product. One company is selling suppose some medical equipment. Okay. Another company is selling some kind of suppose electronic equipments. Both the companies are merging together, then it will be termed as a conglomerate merger. All right. So, these are the different 4 ways of mergers within the company, and let us quickly discuss about the advantages and disadvantages. SIC unit can be avoid further losses by merging with the established firm. Okay. Like we have taken the example, company A who was selling the oil and the company B who was also selling the oil. It is a type of the horizontal merger. Company A was facing too many difficulties in terms of the stiff competition from company B. The sales was declining, they were not able to pay dividend to their shareholders, right, and they were almost becoming the insolvent, and they were under the SIC category. Now, these company, when they will be merging with the company A, they will be getting a fresh approach. They will be infused with some kind of capital, and ultimately it will be better for the company. Instead of becoming insolvent, you sell off your businesses to the bigger player and start with the new business. Shareholder of the loss making firm merge with an established firm to get a profit. So, it is good for the shareholders as well. Now, the shareholders of company B in our example, they were not given any kind of the dividend. Now, they are merged with the company A, all right, in this example. Now, they are merged with the company B, sorry, it was company B. The shareholder of company A will be also getting the dividend, because they are now the owner of or the equity of having the right to get the dividend from the company B as well. Employees of the merged company do not lose their job as they are absorbed by the merging company. Now, the company A, all right, employees of company A will be transferred to the B as well. Say they do not lose the job, they will be shifted or they will be employee of company B. Effective utilization of resources by both the firms. Now, the company A will be sharing some kind of resources to the company B as well. Company B has some kind of expertise and some kind of resources. So, both the resources of both the companies will be used for the operational efficiency. Limitation: proper controlling and coordination may be a challenging task. Just like the joint venture, it is also very difficult to control the operation, coordinate the operation of the merging ventures as well. Merger may give rise to the monopoly. Suppose 5 players were there. Okay. Now, player A is a very big organization. All the smaller player merged with the bigger company. So, ultimately the single firm which exists in the market is the company A. Now, they will be dominating the market and all the decisions will be taken based on their managers, because they do not have some kind of risk with the competitors. Legal restriction of foreign investment. All right. Sometimes it happens that the government, if they observe that the foreign investment or the foreign institutional investors, they are in order to neutralize the competition, in order to create a monopoly in the market, they are funding a particular company, then the company or the government takes the action and they neutralize the creation of the monopoly. The valuation of the company is difficult task. Now, valuation of the company becomes very methodological process, and it requires experts to like quantitatively measure what the value of the company, both the company are. Okay. So, with this we have some kind of advantages and limitation of the merger. Lastly, we will be discussing the vertical merger types. One is your backward integration and your forward integration. Backward integration means going back to the source of the raw material. Under this, the firms manage to supply their own raw material for the production process. Like the car manufacturer starts producing tires for their cars. So, what if your backward integration is a process where you look back to the the source of raw material. Company like Lenskart, they have the backward integration where they have their own suppliers. Okay, they own their own suppliers in terms of any kind of raw material. So, ultimately what will be the benefit? The regular supply of the raw material, because you have your own supplier. Okay. So, there will be uninterrupted supply of the raw material. Quality will be based on what you want. You have dominance over your supplier. Negotiation power with the supplier increases. Okay. So, you can manage, or you will be requiring the things based on your negotiation power with the supplier. Profitability of the firm will increases. Limitation, the firm loses the opportunity to purchase raw material from the advanced supplier. When you have developed your own supplier part, okay, or your own source of the raw material, then you have limited opportunity to look back for other suppliers in the market. Huge investment required, may require technological upgradation. Okay. So, backward integration, you have to set up all the things on how the supplier work, what are the different operational activities are, and it will require technological upgradation. Just like the backward integration, you have a forward integration. When the firm set their own retail store to deliver their product directly to the consumers, it is a forward integration. It means you are eliminating the middleman. All right. We can take the example, the FMCG industries sell product directly to the consumer through online stores. So, it is good for the organization as well as for the consumers as well, because the cost will be lower for both the parties. Greater control over the sales, because they do not rely on the middleman, they can rely on the different internal sources as well. Quality will be there. Economies of integration, all right. Profitability of the firm increases. So, these are some of the benefit when you will be removing the middleman and you act as a direct vendor towards the consumers. Reduces flexibility of the operation, the first limitation, because over the operation part you yourself is managing. So, it can be very much rigid towards how the consumers are delivered the product. Fixed cost increases. You have to set up some stores, okay, where the consumers will be visiting and purchasing your raw materials or your products. Huge investment, because of fixed cost increases, raw material price are increases, your overall cost will be very much high. And last one, task of the employee also increases. So, ultimately the management workload will also increase, but ultimately you will see that you are directly in touch with the consumers. So, we have covered up the part 12 module 57, and in this we have thoroughly understood about the joint venture, the merger and the integration. And in the upcoming module we will be discussing about the business environment. And before that, I suggest you to go through these books to get better insight about the growth strategies. That's all for this session. Thank you so much.